Right, that is Miss Etta Baker's Mint Julep. It's one of her original compositions. It's a little bit different. It's to me, it's more of a country instrumental than necessarily a blues song, though it does have its bluesy notes. But especially when you're sliding this A6, that's very much something Merle Travis would do. I think there's a lot of Merle Travis and Chet Atkins influence on this song, and she had one foot in blues and one in country, so that makes perfect sense. It's an interesting tune, and I'm going to just kind of go through it slowly. It's in the key of A, and the basic, we're going to just kind of slide into that long A form. I've explained that before. You just bar across with your first finger and drop your pinky on the 5th fret. And you can actually just grab as many notes as you want at this point. I mean, it's a chordal based song. It's not a single note based song except for one little bit up the neck. But anyway, just go. Now we're in a D7 position here. Okay, now this is sort of an odd, well, if you think of your D7 here, okay, your regular just standard old triangular shaped D7, just shift your ring finger over where your middle finger would normally be and put your middle finger on the 6th string, okay? And it goes. Basically like that, pull off. And that's sort of the hook on the song, really. And this time go open and then go to an E7. So go E7, E6. She always did that. She did the E7, E6. You could probably leave that out if it sounds better to your ear. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So this time we went open. I like it because it does set up the next. That's the trickiest part of the tune, actually. You go, all right, open. So. It's just getting one more little bit of rhythm in there. It's really all you're doing. Back to that D7. Now E7. And now bend the C note here. What is that, an A? I guess. And then over here, 5th string, 2nd fret. So we're going 2nd string, 1st fret. 3rd string, 2nd fret, 5th string, 2nd fret, and then walk down to open A again. All right, I'll play through that one time. That's the basic, okay? Then she does a little variation. Slide up to the 10th fret. It's just thrown in there. It's just a little, I don't even know. I'm not even sure how to describe this in the song because then you go right back to it. So just think of it as just like a little flourish. Just like that. So 3rd string, 12th fret, 2nd string, 10th fret, and then 1st string, 12, 11, 10, and then 13th fret on the 2nd, and bend it back to the 10th. Repeat it. time through, we're going to do this A6. All right, so you know your A7, long A, A7, barring across is just A6. Very a jazzy chord used a lot in Western swing, A6 chords. Really does give it that country jazz kind of feel to it. So she would go, or either way you want to do it, and you can kind of break it up, make it a little more rhythmic either way. So finish it off, slide up from the 3rd fret instead of going to this A, just go. So slide from the G to the A, or then into the long A. So put that in context. There. I mean, it's sort of no, it's not the most complicated song. The rhythm's a little challenging, but once you get that down, you know, you can jam on that for a while. I mean, it's a fun song to play. I love that A6 chord in there that just mixes it up a little bit. This bit up the neck is kind of inexplicable, but it sounds good. And it's just a really good example of, you know, her style and something that she probably would have come up with just, you know, sitting on the porch in a rocking chair or old porch swing and putting together just an interesting little rhythm and some flourishes. And like I said, to me it really is more of a Merle Travis or Chet Atkins style song. So I think you can find equal reception to it in blues and country and even jazz circles. So anyway, as always, email me if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer them. And I'm going to get started on a mandolin version of this same tune, which it's a little challenging, but it's fun. And I think if you play mandolin, you're going to love that. If you know anybody that does play mandolin, be sure to send them the link to my channel so they can hear both the original guitar and then the mandolin version. And as always, remember, improvise. Come up with your own breaks and such. Turn them into your own music. That's this tradition. It is not... I guess like a lot of, you know, more, you know, rock and roll influence guitar players will sit there and listen to one tune, one track over and over and learn to play note for note every solo and then really pride themselves on playing it exactly the way it was on the record. That's fine, and that's good practice. That's, you know, if you want to be in a cover band. But at some point, it's very important, no matter what genre you play, that you take that to the next step, where you let that be your basis, your foundation, and then you do your own thing. Start coming up with your own solos. And when we get into Piedmont blues and old time and such as that, it's all about coming up with your own versions, your own improvisations, your own flourishes. You got to remember, there's one side of this music that was very competitive. People would get together and compete to see who was the best guitar player, who was the best, you know, fiddle player or whatever, whether it was in blues or country. And they would do that, one, not just to look like, you know, the natural competitive human nature, but also these were musicians that made their living playing house parties and rent parties and corn shuckings and square dances and all kinds of stuff like that. Or to later on to compete to get on radio or compete to get a record deal. So coming up with your own flourishes and your own style based on these traditional tunes was what would set you apart and would enable you to make a living playing music. And I don't know, to some extent it's still that way today. I think we kind of lost a lot of the creativity and improvisation, at least in popular music. I could get into why that is, has a lot to do with the way people learn to play music these days, more off of tablature than being taught by a music teacher or learning live from other musicians. And the old timers would encourage you to come be creative and come up with your own break. They'd say, "Now let me hear what you can do." And it was a big part of the culture of growing up playing music in the rural South, even in the '90s when I was learning. So anyway, y'all have a good one, and I'll talk to you next time.